The expectations are high for the 2019 Texas Longhorns football team, and high expectations are a welcome sight after they've spent the last decade wandering in the championship desert. Here are 3 things that must happen for Texas to win championships in 2019. But first, this.
At Cover 2 in Austin, you get half-priced wings or tenders with the purchase of a beverage. Dine in only. Cover 2 in Austin.
For the first time since Colt McCoy was in Austin, there's no debate over the quarterback position. How refreshing. Now the sobering reality. Texas won 10 games last year with an elite-level quarterback, and while 10 wins is great for most programs, it's not for the University of Texas. At least not just 10 wins. You know what I mean? Longhorns were 6th in the Big 12 in yards and 5th in points in 2018. So number 1 on this list, the number 1 thing that the 2019 Texas Longhorns must do to win championships in 2019 is they need one of their 3 stud freshman playmakers to emerge. Brew McCoy, Jordan Whittington, and Jake Smith. They're all 5-stars who are destined for prolific careers in Austin. Hopefully, relatively short ones. But they're needed to contribute right away. With Colin Johnson and Malcolm Epps representing the big body X-type targets, Texas needs one of these young playmakers to complement them in order to unlock their offensive potential. Remember, they had tons of talent on offense last year with Colin Johnson and Lil Jordan Humphrey and Keontae Ingram and Sam Ehlinger, but they didn't have enough big plays. That was the big stat about them. No play for over 40 yards. These types of young playmakers, Brew McCoy, Jordan Whittington, Jake Smith, they all represent the potential for big play threats the entire football game. And hopefully, not just threats. They really, at least one of them, need to emerge in a big way. Number 2, Tom Herman loves this stat, and he points it out for a very important reason. And that is, in the BCS and college football playoff, every single national champion has finished with at least a top 25 defense, with the exception of Cam Newton's 2010 Auburn team. But every other one has been top 25 in defense. Texas's defense was 57th in the country in points per game, 25.9, and a horrendous 109th in the nation in third down defense. They gave up a whopping 44% of third downs. So, while I'm bringing up the defense, number 2 isn't exactly just defense in a broad scope, but maybe a specific part of that defense. And right now you're probably thinking, yeah, it's about the defensive end, the edge rushers, since they lose Charles Omenihu and many of their important pieces along their edge rush and defensive line. But that's not what I'm looking at. Number 2 is actually their linebacking core, which I think is more important than their edge rush. And this is why. Because nobody does modern offenses quite like the Big 12. Well, the best way to defend a modern offense is with multifaceted, versatile linebackers. Those that can play downhill and win at the point of attack, make tackles on the ball carrier, and also be able to play and stand up well in coverage. Where the Longhorn linebackers got killed last year, especially on third down, was when their linebackers played back in coverage, teams gashed them on the ground, like Oklahoma State. And then when teams noticed that they were cheating up against the run, Will Grier and West Virginia took advantage of them through the air. They need modern linebackers equipped to be more versatile to defend these modern offenses that can adjust to the type of defense you're playing on the fly. Lastly, number 3, Sam Ehlinger. Last year, Ehlinger set a school record with 16 rushing touchdowns. Yay! Although, not so much. 16 rushing touchdowns, not exactly sustainable for a quarterback. Period. It's not. And if you talk to Tim Beck or Tom Herman or Ehlinger, they'll tell you it wasn't in the game plan. Those touchdowns were out of necessity to either win football games or put them in position to win football games. Well, with 3 starters gone from the offensive line and the element of surprise gone from Ehlinger on opposing defensive coordinators, he has to minimize the amount of exposure he has to hits. This team is not winning championships without the health of Sam Ehlinger. And the more he exposes himself to hits, the more likely it is they'll have to play without him. Is Texas back? That vaunted question. Well, if these 3 things happen, we can take that question, we can bury it, kill it, destroy it, maim it, forever.
At Cover 2 in Austin, you get half-priced wings or tenders with the purchase of a beverage. Dine in only. Cover 2 in Austin.